Okay, now let's try to share my screen again. This worked rather nice yesterday. Can you see the GCC packaging standards starting slide?
Yes, we do.
Okay, fantastic.
But you can, because you are having the presentation view right now that you are sharing, you can share the normal slide as well, not the presentation view. It's the same. Never mind.
Okay, never mind. You are right. I think everybody is seeing what I like to tell, and it is not really a problem to see the next slide. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning from Germany. It's 11 o'clock. It's not early in the morning, but still okay to say good morning. Good afternoon for the guys from Pakistan and from Saudi Arabia. And I think it is early in the morning in Chile, isn't it? So hello, everybody. After having talked about the European and the US FDA protocol for food packaging, we are today talking about the requirements in the Gulf area as a large and important area for also a lot of companies being present today in this lecture, like Obakan being in Saudi Arabia, but also several others. Now let me go down. Okay. A bit like the European Union, in the Gulf area, we have also a cooperation of member states surrounding the Persian Gulf. This is what you can see here in green. I think most of you know this much better than I do, because I'm from northern or central Europe. You are more located in this area. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we have Bahrain, Qatar, the Emirates, and Oman. These 6 countries, they have a cooperation which is called the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. And each of these 6 countries, they also have an own standardization body. You see here the list: Emirates, Authority and Standardization, Metrology, and so on and so on. So all of these 6 countries do run an own office, an own organization that is developing standards for more or less everything that needs to be standardized. And these countries together form the GSO. This is the G for Gulf Standardization Organization. This is a bit comparable in Europe. We know this as the EN standard. These are the European standards which are accepted and applicable all over Europe. And here it is the same for the Gulf Cooperation Council. Beside that, or below that, or on side of that, we also have some of the standards. We will learn some later on, for instance, which are only approved by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. These are the SASO standards, and we have also 2 rather important standards, which you can see here. So we have a series of GSO standards which are applicable all over the Gulf Cooperation Council, and here we have some standards also for applicable only for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Actually, these are standards. These are not laws by itself. So the structure in the GCC area is a bit different than what we have seen in the EU and what we have seen in the US FDA yesterday. We can probably compare this a bit with the Chinese situation. So in China, we have it very, very similar, that they have one extraordinary law saying that everything must be safe, but without any concrete details. And then they have their GB standards below that. So the GB Guangbao standards, this is a bit comparable to the situation you have in the Gulf country area, so that we have a very, very generic law, and below that the details are sorted out in standards, which are published partly or mainly by GSO and partly also by single countries like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So in terms of labeling, so what needs to be printed on packed food or on pre-packed food, we have a standard with a very, very small, tiny number, GSO number 9 from 2007. So this is what you can see here. The GSO standard number 9 gives details how a food packaging needs to be labeled. So which information needs to be printed on the packaging of a food. This is regulated in much more details than what we know from other countries. So we have, of course, also labeling requirements in the European Union, but they are not in that detail than what we can see here, for instance, now in GSO number 9, where we have the requirement that there must be a name of the food, there must be a list of ingredients, there must be a list of food additives. Food additives is something we know also in Europe. Hypersensitive foodstuff, this is something what we call in Europe an allergen. That's quite the same. Also the list of hypersensitive foods or allergenic foods is the same. Did you add some water? This is an information. This is only required in the GCC area, not in Europe. Did we have dehydrated or condensated food? We have a new colleague. I allow you to enter. Any ingredient obtained from biotechnology of an allergen, net content, name and address. This is, of course, also required in Europe. Lot identification and the country of the origin. So a lot of very detailed requirement which must be given. An example for some salted almonds you can see here on the right side. Also specific is when you use a logo or especially a quality of an organic product, you must have a proof of the validity of this claim on hand. This must not be printed, of course, on the packaging, but if an authority or if a customer is asking for a proof of evidence how you can prove this claim, then you must have this on hand and must show this to the authority. And it is also not allowed to write or print any phrases or logo which are related to a quality management system. I think here in Europe, we don't have this regulation that this is not allowed. Nobody is doing so, so it is not really common. But in the Saudi Arabian area, this is even forbidden to do this. We also have requirements regarding the type or the kind of information which must be given. This is also very exclusive to the Saudi Arabian area or to the Gulf area. Here it is defined that it is allowed to, or it is required to label if there is a starch in, but it is not allowed to define the types of starches, the fishes and the type of fishes. Type of fish is not allowed, fish is allowed. Pottery meat, the kind is not allowed, but it is just required to have poultry meat, and so on and so on. So we have a series of different restrictions. So how to label different ingredients like gum base, sugar, dextrose, caseinate, etc., etc. So this must be considered, because if you are not taking care of these forbidden labeling requirements, the labeling itself is not in line with the legal requirements. GSO number 9 is also defining the labeling of food additives which are permitted in the Gulf standards. Here you can see a list of approved food additives, acidity regulators, acids, anti-caking agents, anti-foaming agents, and so on. So a large list of food additives which are approved, and they shall be used beside the specific name or the international number. So you for sure know that all of these food additives contain, for instance, these E numbers. These are E like European numbers, but they are worldwide used to identify approved food additives. So if you use food additives, and they are used, of course, in more or less all types of food, then you are obliged to use these official names for the family of the food additives beside the specific name, and probably, but this is voluntary, to use also these international numbers. Okay, then the labeling regulation GSO number 9 says something about the shelf life of the food. Here we have a differentiation of shelf life, which is less or more than 3 months. So if the shelf life of the product is shorter than 3 months, then you need to label it with the day, so day, month, and year. But if the shelf life is larger than 3 months, then it should be labeled only with month and year. This is also different from what we have in Europe, so we don't have this differentiation here. This is very special for the Gulf area. It is, of course, not allowed to have more than one date on the label, and the dates printed, the print or something like that shall be from an irremovable ink, so that it can't be removed, and adding stickers is not permitted. So it must be printed directly onto the packaging. Furthermore, we have here some exemptions, let's say. So products can be exempted from the requirement of the expiry date of the shelf life of the product if the production date or the harvest year must be printed. So, for example, fresh fruits, they usually have no shelf life, but the date when it was harvested, or for ready-made food when it was produced. And this fully makes sense, of course, for fresh fruits and vegetables, because you can't really give a shelf life or an expiry date for fresh fruit, but you must inform the customer when has it been harvested. Bakery products are usually assigned when were they baked, and not how long are they fresh. So if they are not packed in a bag, then a bakery product is fresh for probably 2 or 3 hours, and then it became hard. Vinegar packed in glass containers has more or less an endless shelf life. This also makes sense. Non-fortified salt and spices, solid sugar also has no expiry. Chewing gums, honey, dry and dried uncooked legumes, dried vegetables, loose tea, and dry cereals. These products are exempted from the expiry date, but you must print on the packaging when it has been manufactured or when it has been harvested. The GSO standard, or let's say more the Saudi Arabian Food and Drug Administration, so the authority in Saudi Arabia, also interprets from GSO number 9 that it is forbidden to have misleading health claims. So this is also something what we have in Europe in very, very much details, the so-called health claims regulation, which defines which health claims are allowed and which health claims are not allowed. You can see here a very typical example in the very right picture. American Heart Association certified meets criteria for heart healthy food. So this is a typical health claim which says that this product is improving your health, is improving the fitness of your body, and of course this is not forbidden by in general, but it must be proven that this is really true, and that this is not a misleading advertising claim towards the customer. Actually, the GSO number 9 has not really an own paragraph or an own article, which is dealing specifically and explicitly with health claims. But the authorities in the Gulf area derive or interpret the health claim forbidden or the health claim prohibition from Article 7, where it says that legally or forbidden names, symbols, marks, or photos shall not be used. I think especially the marks is this what is meant here. Article 8 says that information written on the label of food packs shall not contain any statements having drugs or treatment characters. This goes a bit into this direction. And Article 4 says any foodstuff which may be deceptive, misleading, or false, or is likely to create an erroneous impression regarding its nature or characteristics in any aspect. So you see, in neither of these paragraphs, we really have this claim, health claim or misleading benefit information. But I think the idea, the principle of GSO number 9 is rather clear, that no labeling of packaging shall be misleading. This is the general idea behind. And therefore, the authorities also really complain if you do add health advertising, health claims on the packaging, which you can't really prove. Okay, that's for the GSO number 9, a very, very general standard, which is more or less only addressing the labeling issues. We have other standards, myself again, and my team. And Natalia, I think we have a bit more of time. If there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer if possible.